never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. We took a wrong turn back on the interstate. So open up your eyes way before it gets too late. Now one man, there's no way you can hit the street lights running, don't give a damn. A simple explanation that you'll never find. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. Never care for compromise. Always threatening someone's life, and it feels like the end of the world. Won't you tell me what's ahead in front of me? I made up my mind, I'll have to fight to find it. Don't take the wrong way down life's highway. There's no more time, I'm gonna get my share dead or alive. Tell you why. Sinners never sacrifice. We never leave love alone. Is hate really worth the price? Look at what we've done. We never care for compromise. Always threatening someone's life. We always reach for peace and love, but we just can't help ourselves. And it feels like the end of the world. Which way do we go? The only way we've ever known. And we all choose a side. We're stopping on this endless ride.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we have our special guest we'll introduce shortly, Miss Mila Moore.
Certainly.
I'm very excited to discuss her career,
Stuff and things.
her as a human being,
Stuff and things.
and her thoughts on many different things going on in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Considering that, maybe we could get into, would you say she's Generation X?
I stopped counting after Y.
No.
There's only one letter left, but I still stopped
No,
counting.
I gotta ask. I gotta figure out where she falls in there. But
generation.
first, horse euthanized hours before the Preakness yesterday, suffering an injury.
Why do you give me these
What are you
stories?
thinking about that, dude? We lost a horse before the Preakness, broke its ankle, and I think they euthanized the horse right on the track.
Hey, as you know, things are getting more and more sensitive. Certain subjects are getting very sensitive. But I'm being serious. You think there'll come a day where there won't be horse racing anymore?
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. What are your thoughts? Do you think this is part of the business, or do
No,
you think that
not lately.
it's a brutal sport that just should be
I don't think it's
eliminated?
I don't think it's brutal, but I do think that lately there's been a lot of. This is not the first time we've heard recently of these horses suddenly passing away before races.
Well,
Something's wrong.
Any horse that breaks a leg usually equals death, right?
Right.
And when you race like that, you know that
Right.
it's sooner or later going to happen.
Right. I'm
And
not
I mean, there's a
sure.
lot of people out there that feel that horse racing is inhumane.
Right. They probably don't like heavy metal either, though.
So you're kind of not giving me anything on this.
I'm kind of giving you.
Do you think that horse racing should be eliminated,
No.
or is it just part of the life?
I think that who's ever responsible for making sure that the horses are cared for better should crank it up a notch. That's
Isn't
what
that like
I
a form,
mean.
Isn't that a form of speciesism, though? Like, what makes us better than horses?
Have you ever gambled on a horse? Yes or no?
Yes.
Leave me alone. Next.
Unfair retort. To the right of the show is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, along with his partner, Bart Briggs, makes up the band Wisteria Hall.
Man.
Wisteria Hall could be heard and downloaded on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe. Go to Spotify, Apple Music, or Reverb Nation.
Check.
If you didn't know, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte The Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Download us on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor. Catch us on the Monte The Pharaoh Twitch TV page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, every Tuesday at 9 p.m. and every Saturday 11:30 a.m. and Channel 20 every Wednesday at 7 p.m. That's 3 times a week, where over 150,000 viewers will see our special guest, Miss Mila Moore, in the reduced version of the show we're presenting right now.
Reduced. It's
and again, I want to remind the fans out there, there's a free app. It's like a startup, right? Like a Netflix or a Hulu, right?
Sure.
It's called Intuitive.
Right.
Want to spell that for the people?
I'll give my best shot. IN2. Oh, it's right there. ITIVE. Intuitive Network.
Download it, where you get free movies, you get free documentaries, and most importantly, you get Monte and the Pharaoh.
Free.
And it's free.
Free.
Hit a button. Shows up on your phone. Go on your TV. Go through Roku. Put it on your TV.
We're making this easy for you, folks.
It is so easy.
Free.
We'll be right back, where I'm excited to have...
How excited are you?
Very excited, because we actually have this generation's wrestler in house, and we rarely do this type of show. So
what? The grandpa tour is over for tonight? What do you say?
The grandpa? Well, no, not for her, but for us, the grandpa tour is over.
For us, it's over.
Miss Mila Moore.
We'll be right back in a sec.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, where we have Miss Mila Moore. How are you?
Good. How are you?
All right. So we were discussing earlier, Long Island native.
Yes. Yeah,
So
from West Islip.
From West Islip. So being a wrestler now and being part of the WWE at some point, did you have a lot of high school people reaching out to you saying, oh, my God?
Oh, yeah. It's actually weird, because I had a small group of friends growing up. I was not the popular girl in high school, but then all of a sudden now it's like everyone from high school reaches out.
You tell anybody to buzz off?
Yeah.
You did. Good for
Basically.
you. Nice.
So you graduated 2015.
Yes.
So I was trying to think, you haven't even have ready for your 10-year reunion
No.
yet. Oh, my God. Oh,
Are you going to go?
we're not even...
I don't think so.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, hold on.
Who needs them anyway?
Isn't that the perfect opportunity to show all those former...
Maybe.
Doesn't
We'll
need
see.
to.
We'll
and be
see.
like, hey,
Yeah,
it's
well,
me.
it is tempting.
Hello.
Maybe.
It's me.
That would
I'm
be the
here.
only reason I do go, if it was.
Just to rub it in.
Yeah.
Bring
Just
him.
a
He'll
rubber.
help you. He'll be like, you know who this is?
Did you ever have a guy like in high school that you were into or something like that that didn't give you the time of
Oh,
day?
yeah, absolutely. That reaches out now. Yeah.
Oh, get a load
the
of
best
this.
feeling in the world. The
Wow.
best. The best.
Wait a minute. So what's that like? Like what? Did you reach out through Facebook? Like how's
Yeah,
it?
or like Instagrams.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta stop using.
Sorry.
First of all, we shouldn't be.
What?
No one
What
uses Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, don't
I
even allow me
told
to
you
mention it.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm not.
So they reach out through. What do they say? Hey,
Yeah,
remember
or
me?
they'll just start liking all your stuff and.
Well, how do they try to mend, like, hey, I'm the guy who was a dick to you that
Yeah,
you like. By the
basically.
way, you're hot now. How's it going? I mean,
I've
how
had
do you...
one guy that's like, I'm always in Florida now. Like, we should
Oh,
hang
that's nice.
out.
So alligators. Is that what you
Yeah.
wrote back?
That's that is.
It's the best
Wow.
feeling, though,
That's
in the
gotta
world.
feel good,
Oh,
though.
yeah, it does.
Fuck off and
Do you,
die.
all right,
Yeah.
be honest. Do you tease them a little bit?
Oh,
Do you-
absolutely.
Oh, that's
You have
okay.
to.
So what do you
You
do?
have
So
to.
like, what do you like? What's it like? What do you
You
say?
have to. You have to be like a little flirty back, but never actually.
Well, you send
meet
a
up with them.
bikini shot just to torture them? I mean, what are we...
No, you just have to be like, oh, maybe, like, we'll see.
Oh, my God, dude! I feel the pain. It's not even me.
I feel
Oh, my
bad
God.
for that guy.
You've been played.
Oh my God!
You have to make
That's
sure
great.
they know they've
Good-
been played.
Good
Yeah.
for you. Good
God.
for you. If they were jerks, then
Guy's
they're
showing
probably
all his
jerks
friends.
now.
He's like, "Oh my God, I'm hooking up. She likes me." Oh,
I'm gonna date a wrestler.
Oh.
I can't. Oh my God. Good for you.
So you no longer live on the island.
Yes.
You moved to Florida.
Hmm.
Why did you escape the island?
Well, the snow is the first reason. Two, I knew, actually, so when I was in high school, when I was looking for colleges, I only applied to schools in Florida. So I'm like, if this is the last time I do something on my parents' dime, I should be in Florida. That
Sure.
just felt right.
Okay.
So I moved to St. Augustine. I went to Flagler College. And then after, I think my last year there is when I started training in Orlando. Like once a week I would drive to Orlando to train. And then once I graduated, I was just like, let me just fully do this and move to Orlando and train for real and see what happens.
What did you get your degree in?
Hospitality.
Nice, very nice.
I feel comfortable. Hospitality. What?
That guy on the other side of the Instagram isn't feeling too hospital.
The guy on the Instagram probably has a Facebook account too. Hey.
So you're part of the newer generation. Now, okay, are you Generation X?
What generation are you?
I'm trying to think where you're at.
Have you been classified yet?
She
I
has
feel
to
like
be classified.
I know this.
I
I've
could
talked
probably
about
Google
this,
it, but,
'cause my
you know.
siblings are millennials, and they always talk about how I'm generation whatever.
Right.
X or Z or something
Is it
like
Z?
that.
It might be Z, because
Maybe.
that's the end of the alphabet. There's nothing
Maybe.
left after that. Wait a minute, what comes after
So-
her if there's nothing left after that?
We're
One of the
doomed
que-
after
now,
that.
again-
It's over.
Obviously
God.
a younger wrestling fan, but we lost superstar Billy Graham last week. Did you know anything about Billy Graham?
Not too much.
Not
no,
too much?
no.
So, as a wrestler, do you look at the lineage of what was before you, or where does the lineage start for someone like yourself?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I don't think I found that too important when I first started, until I really started to get in the wrestling community. And I trained under Devon Dudley, so he makes sure we know, what's before us. And once I got to NXT, that was a huge part of it, watching back matches from before and making sure, your history. So I try to do my best, but there's a lot. There's a lot to learn.
You mentioned Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
If I read a little bit about you before you came in, and you mentioned that Rhea Ripley, and we had discussed on the show, Rhea Ripley compared to China already. We were just, and Mike pointed out that, hey, she's probably got her own generation now that are completely. What
Yeah.
does Rhea Ripley mean to you in this business and the way she's advanced?
Yeah, she was actually a huge, when I first started wrestling, she was probably my favorite. She was in NXT when I moved to Orlando, and I remember going to an NXT show, and my whole goal was I want to see Rhea. I want to see Rhea. Because she was just you don't see girls like her anymore, really. She's beautiful, but she's tough. She's hardcore, so that's really nice to see on TV too, just different kinds of women on TV. She really stood out to me, and I was like, oh, I want to be that strong.
Are you aware of who Fabulous Moolah is?
Yes.
Any thoughts on her day? Have you looked back at the old school way the ladies used to wrestle in the old times and checked that out? What's your opinion on that stuff?
Yeah, I think the way women have advanced in wrestling is very nice to see, because now there's just all sorts of different kinds, and even how they're just represented now is very different. So I think that's important too. But, the women during that time is the reason that we can have women wrestling now. So you have to look back and see that.
I mean, you're at the perfect time right now. I mean, the women revolution has
Yeah.
never been bigger, and
Yep.
at some points it's actually much more important than the men's division at that point. So, do you feel that you're going to continue on with this career for a long, long time, or what's your feelings?
I hope so. I think so. I feel like once you start wrestling, it's just it's so addictive. It's like in your blood. I feel like almost I can't imagine doing anything else really. So I hope to have a
Now,
long career.
were any of your parents wrestling fans?
No, well, my dad was a fan. He wasn't like a hardcore fan,
Right.
but he had a godson a year older and younger than me. And every year we'd go to a wrestling show. So I like watched it then. But then once I got into college was when Women's Evolution. And so I really got into it then. That's when I was like, I want to do this.
Wow.
Yeah. We used to go see shows. But even when I was in college, my dad would fly to Florida just to come see shows with me. And like Daytona, or my mom flew down to go to Miami once and go to a show. So.
But you were attracted more towards the women's end
Yeah.
of it then,
Yeah.
right? More than the men's end.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, Jimmy asked you before, it was Rhea that kind of dragged you into this?
Yeah. She was, I remember when she started NXT was when I was like, oh, I want to do this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how about Charlotte and Becky? And,
Yeah, so I think Charlotte's like my all-time favorite women's
Yeah.
wrestler. I think she's the best women's wrestler they have.
We agree on this show.
And, so yeah, she definitely was a huge inspiration in that.
How do you feel about Sasha Banks jumping to Japan?
I think she's do what makes you happy. I think the ultimate goal for wrestlers is wrestling full-time somewhere. That's like the goal. So to me, it doesn't really matter where you go. I don't know the whole full story of why she left or all that backstory, but I think as long as she's wrestling and she's happy, that's fine.
Did you find a lot of politics when you were in WWE?
Oh yeah. Not even just in WWE, in wrestling in general. It's all you have to learn how to work the politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the politics of what is the dance in wrestling?
Just knowing who doesn't like who likes who can make the bigger decisions, like who to look out for, who's watching you to make sure, like, I'm going to talk to the top guy to make sure you get on the show or don't get on the show, so.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure there could ever be another Shawn Michaels pulling the strings behind the scenes, but have you seen some who do have some sort of pull that way behind the scenes?
Oh,
Is there that-
absolutely.
so there is that kind of
Absolutely.
playing going on back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all big work.
So you mentioned Devon,
Yeah.
right?
Devon.
Obviously he has a wrestling school and he's teaching you how to wrestle. But does he teach you the politics? Does he talk to you about the politics?
Yeah. That's probably something he's very been upfront, open about, is he'll tell you, he gets like PC about some things, but he makes sure to know. And I remember when I first got signed, I called him immediately and he was like, congrats, whatever. And then a few days later he called me back and was like, I just want to let you know, now is the time to have tough skin. It's like, okay. So I think he was like preparing me for that. And then if anything would happen, I would tell him everything, and he was like, okay, like, you need to it's okay, you need to have tough skin, you need to know who to be nice to, who to watch out for. And so he's very open to the politics and it being there and all that.
So when you finally get into NXT, and who was in your class at the time you were there?
Like the talent,
Yeah.
I got signed with like Nikita Lyons, Tatum Paxley, Maxine Dupree.
So pretty good
Yeah,
class,
good group,
right?
Yeah.
Did they try to go out of their way to make it easy, or were you guys fighting?
No. We weren't fighting.
Are you looking to go ahead?
The group was very good together. Yeah, we became very close very quickly, I'd say. So that was nice to have like a little group, little community to go to.
But did anybody did they try to hold you down, or is everybody trying to? I don't want to call it backstabbing, right? Because everybody wants a spot. It's like just anything in life, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to make more money, and and not that someone goes out of their way, but did they go out of their way to make sure that they stomped on you?
Yeah, so it's funny. So right before we reported, I think all the girls and all the guys had like group chats. And then I remember someone saying to me when I started there, like be careful, you're really close to these girls now, but once you guys, like, few people start getting on TV, none of you are going to be friends. And that's exactly what happened. Once certain people got on TV and, like, got higher, then the group, like, faded very quickly because everyone, they just kind of, it's not even WWE, I think it's entertainment. It's just, this is your job and you have to look out for yourself, especially now it's so cutthroat where it's, like, you really can't, like, stop to hold someone's hand or, to look out for someone else because they're probably not looking out for you. So I think that was known very quickly. I wouldn't say people purposely backstab each other, but I think we knew very quickly that this is about ourselves. And that's just how it was.
Was it easier for you? Was it easy for you to adjust to all of this stuff? I mean, you're coming from West Islip and all.
Well, and you got Devon says, hey, you got to get thick skin, but when it actually starts happening, how does that affect you emotionally?
Yeah, it did a lot. I remember calling up my sister-in-law a few times to be like, this was, like, I trained physically, like, to be physically tough and in shape for this, but I never imagined, like, how mentally it is, really, like, it just draining, like, in a good and bad way, you know, like, I never expected it, but yeah, it took a toll on everyone, like, mentally, emotionally, it's a lot.
We're not trying to get dirt. I'm just trying to understand.
We're not?
No, we're not. But I mean, of all the women, who was the most brutal when it came to this?
Ooh.
Ooh, oh, gosh.
Again, we're under the understanding that this is business.
Yeah.
People want to make $1 million. They want to be in the WWE. So I'm not saying it's unfair that they're doing it. I just want to know who was the most brutal at, like, really was cutthroat.
Right. I think everyone had their, like, sneaky way of doing it. Like, they never really made it known. But in my group, I wouldn't even say in my group, but I don't know. There's just a lot of people that in their own way did it. It wasn't really anyone specifically, I would say. And not even purposely, but just when they would get a bigger opportunity, they would kind of, like, shut everyone else out, you know? But I don't think it was anyone specifically, truly. It was kind of everyone in their own way.
Did they ever go out of their way in the ring to make you look bad?
I never had that experience in NXT. Not that I know of. I know of, like, other girls that said other girls did that to them, but I've never had that. I've had great experiences.
Right.
I feel like with every match I've had there.
So you have promo class too.
Yeah.
Who was running promo class when you were in NXT?
It was Ryan Katz when I first started. After he got released for a little bit, it was Steve Carino was running it, actually. And
Steve Carino?
Yeah, and then we had an
Nice.
acting coach that would come in and, like, actually give us the prompts.
How did you find Carino to be as a coach?
Oh, he's amazing. Amazing, yeah.
That
He
guy
was
can
mostly
talk.
running, like, the tag team classes, really, but whenever you had a conversation with him, he just was amazing.
So back in the day, right, it wasn't scripted. People would just say whatever.
Right.
And now the WWE's more like a television show, right?
Absolutely.
So did they give you scripts to read and tell you, okay, perform this script?
Yeah, we have PC Lives, which is just, like, a mini show you do a show in front of Bloom and Shawn Michaels, and all your peers are behind you.
Ooh.
Yeah, and so even for those, they would give us a script for promos. So, yeah, and you had to memorize everything.
So you mentioned Shawn Michaels. Obviously, you know what he meant to the industry.
Right.
What was that like reading a promo in front of Shawn
Oh
Michaels?
my gosh! I always say now, especially at, like, indie shows, I'm like, I just have fun now because nothing will compare to
Right.
doing a show just for Shawn Michaels, who's gonna
Right.
like no sell and let's look you dead in the eye, and nothing can compare to that. It's the most nerve-wracking thing, but.
And he wouldn't sell for you at all. He just
Oh
stare
no,
right
yeah,
at you.
yeah. Him and Bloom would just look at you, but it was
Wow.
Yeah, so you never knew what you were getting. But he was so sweet, so sweet.
Was he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So go a little deeper into that, right? So the Shawn Michaels, again, we're fans, right? You're the wrestler, we're a fan. But the Shawn Michaels we heard of and know was not a good human being. When you talk about
Back in the
backstabbing
day.
people,
Right.
but when you talk about backstabbing people
He was
to
the
get
king.
what you want, he was the master
Back
in
of
the
day.
this. Explain the Shawn Michaels that Mila Moore knows.
Yeah, so I think it might be different now that he's not in the talent. He's more of, like, the business side of it. Because I know Devon even was like, he's like, I don't know how Shawn's gonna act, like, when I go there and stuff.
So he told you,
Yeah.
be careful of Shawn Michaels. He's a problem.
Yeah, he didn't say really it was a problem, but Devon he became a producer for NXT recently before he ended with WWE. And I remember him telling me, like, I don't know how he's gonna act around me. So I knew that, like, some people had heat with him and whatever, but he was very sweet to us as talent, and he was always, you can go to him for anything, and he was very open.
Very open.
Yeah.
So two sides of the coin. You get the call that you get into NXT, and then you get the release.
Yeah.
Start with the call, and then start what your feelings were after the release.
The call of the release.
How about the call that you got the job?
So I didn't even get a call. I got the job. I got told that day of the tryout. After our tryout, we were all in different locker rooms, and they were like, okay, like, we'll let you know within the month. And then all of a sudden, someone came in and kept calling girls' names one by one. And every time a girl would come back, they'd be like, I got signed. What? It's happening right now? And so I remember every girl got called, and then it was like dead silence for a bit, and I was the last girl that got called. But in that time, I was like, there's too many girls, like, it's not me.
Right.
So I went back there, and they brought me into like a tiny room, and it was just a table, and it was Regal, Triple H, and then cameras. You're like,
Cameras.
And Triple H, which has got to be like, oh my
Yeah.
God, right?
It's like, okay, and they're like, sit down in this chair, and then he's like, okay, we're gonna sign you,
And that's the first you had seen of Triple H since you got there?
Oh, he was at our tryout.
Okay,
yeah,
so
he walked
you saw
into
him
our
during
tryout.
you saw him during the tryouts. Okay.
But talking to him one-on-one like that was just sitting at a table with just him and cameras. It's like, okay, where am I?
So he's like, well, how do you do the Triple H?
You're signed.
We want you to
Exactly.
join.
Where?
Wink.
Wink, that's funny you say that, actually. Yeah.
Do I know this guy or what?
That's great.
So you're on cloud nine.
Oh,
you go
yeah.
through the whole thing. What about when you got the call you never wanted to get?
Yeah. That day I had a PC Live, one of our little shows there. I got home and I remember I was so tired because you're there all day long. And I was actually on my couch, like taking a nap, dozing in and out. And then I woke up and I had a missed call from WWE, and I was like, oh. But I don't know if this sounds bad. So I took a drug test that day. But the one before that, I failed. But, like, I didn't do drugs, I swear. But it was, like, they found out why. But then, so that one, they called me, and I was like, oh, my drug test. Like, something had to happen with that. So I called back immediately, and it was Laurinaitis. And, like, my body just froze. Like, I don't even remember what he said, truly. I just remember hearing his voice and, like, freezing, like, literally being paralyzed. And it was, like, probably a 30-second call.
Right.
And then I just hung up, and I was just, like, like, in shock. What do I do? So... yeah, like the first person I called was Devon.
Okay.
And what did Devon say to you?
He was just like, let me call you back. And I think he called Laurinaitis and talked to him, and he's like, we'll talk, and like, whatever, come to class, we'll talk. So he was in contact with Bloom a lot for me after that, too, just like things we need to work on to get back there, and, you know. So he was very helpful in all of that. But he was like, okay, be calm, like, you're going to be okay. Like, I just want to tell you that. I was like, okay.
Is it in your plans to get back there?
Absolutely, yeah. In my plans, it's just to wrestle full time. I have zero desire of like, I want to be at this promotion or, you know, this company. It's just to wrestle is the goal.
Okay.
I want to bring it back to Devon a little bit. Did he turn into a bit of a father figure to you?
Absolutely. I always call him my Florida dad.
Yeah.
Because I went to a really bad wrestling school at first when I went to Florida.
Was that Bubba Ray's school?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Mila, get the tables. That's great. That is great.
No, it was a really bad school, and I didn't realize how bad it was, how bad the trainer was. He didn't know anything. And so when I went to, and he took a lot of advantage of everyone there. So when I went to Devon's, he knew about that, and he immediately was like took me in and was like, no, like, I will not let anyone take advantage of you like that. So, So yeah, I call him, and he's always like, call me, call my sons for anything you need, like, not even wrestling related. Call me, like, if you're ever in trouble, call me. And so yeah, he's definitely been a big father figure there.
I gotta tell you, I'm marking out for Devon a bit.
I love Devon.
I mean,
I love Devon.
He seems like he really cares about his students,
does,
which
and
is
that's
incredible.
The thing. Yeah, he does, absolutely.
So can I ask you this? Devon, you call, clearly he's shocked that they're releasing you, right? Because he was working with them at the time, too.
Yeah.
So now he's got to make a call to find out. Could you share why they released you?
Really, there wasn't any, and this comes back to politics, too. There really wasn't any reason, but we think the whole reasoning was, so when I got signed, I heard from the coaches I was a maybe the whole tryout, and then once I did my promo, Triple H wanted it to be a yes, and he really pushed for me there. Okay. They all told me that Triple H was the one that was like, no, we're signing her. And
so like I said, mic skills over mat skills, right? You got to think, and I'm a big mic person because I feel like you could always get better at your wrestling and get better at your mic, but if you have that natural mic skill, that's great.
You'll hook them into the match if you're a great talker.
Yeah.
Alone.
And so I think which Devon thinks also, the whole Laurinaitis was firing all of Triple H's people. So I think I was just caught in that Triple H really pushed for me.
So is that a Vince thing, telling Laurinaitis to fire all the Triple H's?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't want to connect dots like this.
No, but basically that's... Because when
sounds like it,
that rumor was going around that they were eliminating Triple H. People said that's bullshit, but that
apparently
seems to be the case,
there might be something to that, Rabbit.
So is there other people released that were Triple H's?
Well, I know the people in the main roster were, like, I think, like, Dakota Kai. She's back now. He brought her back.
Right.
But they got rid of because she was a Triple H girl.
Right.
So there was a few of those people, I think.
Okay.
They're big Triple H people.
Do you draw inspiration from Drew McIntyre, considering in the beginning of his WWE career, he was Vince's handpicked project, didn't get over, was let go, went to the Indies, comes back, beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Right.
Do you find him to be an inspiration for you?
Absolutely. I think right when I got released, I always thought about that because I always say now, like, when I was there, I had very little confidence, very, very little, because I knew, like, I haven't been training this long, I don't really deserve to be here, but, like, all the athletes that got signed with me didn't have that same mentality. They're all just like, we deserve to be here, even though we know nothing. And I didn't have that, and I think that messed me up when I was there. It's a big part. It is. And I knew in my head, like, no, a lot of other people worked a lot harder to be here, and they're not, and some people aren't even here, and they should be.
But thanks to your experience now there, you can now feel the comfort level you should have felt there everywhere you go.
Yeah, exactly. Being in the Indies now, I always say that, like, that's probably the best thing that could have happened for me.
Right.
Because now I'm just having fun now, and I have so much more confidence, and I'm meeting people that I would never have met before and if I was still in NXT. So I think that's, like, it's like a gift and a curse. Like, obviously I'm not like, oh yeah, I was happy I was released, but I think it was, like, behind the scenes the best thing that could have happened for me.
But when that did happen on the initial part of it, were you like, I'm done now. I've lost my dream. I'm no longer
It would be natural to come across. Did you have that thought?
I don't think I did. I think sometimes, no, I don't think I did. In my head, it was more like I didn't get signed to, like, not finish what I started, you know? So that was kind of my whole, because even my mom, when I first called her to tell her, she was like, okay, well, like, you did it, you achieved your dream, and I'm like, no, I'm not done. Like, that was, like, my whole, like, I didn't do everything I wanted to, so I'm not done. So that was my mentality.
So that's a great attitude. So where a lot of people would probably maybe fall into a little bit of depression and not come out of their apartment for a couple of weeks, you were like, I'm shaking this off and I'm starting over.
Yeah.
Good for you.
It's good to be 20-something.
So can I ask you the more adult Mila against the high school Mila, which I'm kind of assuming from our conversation that the high school Mila was kind of a little bit mousy, quiet.
Very.
What changed you? Did wrestling change you into the Mila that you are now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was so shy in high school. I would never talk to anyone, even, like, my parents, my whole family. My grandpa always says, like, you are the last kid in the family we would have thought became a wrestler.
And now you're torturing the captain of the football team who can't get a date with you. Very nice.
But I think that's what wrestling does to you, though. It gives you that, like, sense of
confidence.
Yeah, and, like, to be someone else. You know what I mean? To get out of it. That was my whole thing. Getting out of your comfort zone was huge. But once you're out, you're out. You know, it's like you can do anything. Because it depends who I'm with, though. I feel like in, like, a wrestling environment, I'm good. But now it's like if I'm with people who don't get wrestling I don't know. It's like I'm very, like,
How did your body take to wrestling over the years?
Oh, gosh.
Are you doing good, or are you like, I'm 25, but I feel like I'm 50? I mean, where are we at?
Sometimes, yeah. I think that was a big wake-up call. I think when I first started, I had, like, a permanent knot on my spine from, like, the ropes.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. It took a lot. Or, like, when I first started, it was anyone that would even touch me in the ring, I'll get a bruise. Like, I don't know how. And then now I feel like I'm a lot better, but still, that doesn't feel great.
Mila, wrestling, like you spoke, you're like, wrestling is its own little, like, it's the world, but your own private microcosm between all the wrestlers. One thing that seems to be happening with our older generation that we bring in here, right? They were drinkers, partiers, things like that. Your generation, which, by the way, is Generation X.
It's X? I thought we were. I don't know what's going on here.
So you guys are more into, like, the video games thing, but the one thing that seems to be a little more rampant is you guys getting into relationships with each other.
Yeah.
Have you been in any relationships with any wrestlers?
Yeah. Not, like, real relationships, but especially the PC, it's a bubble. It's a true bubble. Like, and it's very high school. It's the only people you see ever, really. And you all become friends, and, like, so you don't hang out with people outside of there because you're there with each other all day, every day. So it definitely becomes a big high school there.
So what man attracts Mila more? Like, what? I don't know what man attracted you in high school, but as a wrestler, did that change? Did you become more attracted to a certain type of man?
Yeah, I think I don't know, I'm always attracted to like the loud, annoying ones now. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Okay.
The quiet ones I can't handle.
Interesting.
I can't handle that.
Okay. All right.
How about the size? Like, so the men nowadays in wrestling seem to be a bit smaller, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily all WWE guys,
Right.
but just in general in wrestling. Are you into the bigger guys? And the reason I ask this, and again, I'm just asking, I don't know, we are just fans. I had read that you were involved in a relationship with Wardlow. And Wardlow
She looks surprised.
obviously is the next, if Tony Khan doesn't jack it up, which he's already done and tried his best,
Little bit.
is the next big step. But he's a big, massive guy and has the look. And I don't know if you were in a relationship with him, so I'll ask, and you don't have to answer. Were you in a relationship? Are you in a relationship with Wardlow? And is that the type of man that Mila more likes?
Man.
We weren't in like an actual relationship, but we were very like flirty and
Friendly.
Yeah.
Okay. They were very
But
friendly.
that's funny. I didn't know that was like out there.
How'd that get out
I was shocked by that. You got me.
This guy.
You got me on that.
There we go. I don't see you blushing, though. You are a pro. They taught you well in promo class. They did.
You can't
Yeah,
break.
you did well with that
It's
one.
funny.
I want to go back to your parents, right? What do they like when you say to them, "Hey, I want to be a wrestler"?
Oh gosh. I
Were
think
they
at
must have
first,
been
like,
shocked.
yeah, they were shocked. I
Yeah.
think they didn't really know what that meant, or
What does that mean?
yeah. They're like, okay, go have fun. I don't know. So then I think once they didn't. I wouldn't say they never took it seriously, but I don't think they ever realized what it would become. But they would come to some shows. They were in Florida. They would fly down to some shows, and they were very shocked when I got signed, I think, just because they were like, you were the last person we would think would be a wrestler. So.
But they see you take a bump. Did they, flip
Oh,
out?
my mom can't watch me wrestle. She can't.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So when you're training in NXT, does the WWE, do they pay for your apartment, or do you get a certain amount of pay? Is it enough to carry you on? Or do you have to have a separate job to be working at the...
Oh, no, they pay you well there.
They do?
Yeah, they take
So
care
the
of
money's
you.
good?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself, I know he asked, going back to WWE, or is AEW another venue that you're looking at that possibly getting into?
Yeah, absolutely. I started training a lot with Jay Lethal, actually, out in Tampa, Florida. So that's, something I'm very interested in.
But tell Wardlow to put a word in.
So funny.
What the hell?
Come on, Wardlow.
Come on, Wardlow.
For the record, Wardlow actually has a girlfriend.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
All right, listen,
Hello?
you just caused amazing.
I didn't cause it. You started.
I always cause problems with that, so it's fine.
This
It's
is
fine.
unbelievable.
Well, who's better looking, you or his girlfriend?
I think
Oh,
you know
come
the
on. It's
answer.
hard. It's hard by a mile. I don't even have to
I
see
think
you.
we
The
know
other
the
one looks like a
answer.
Wait a
foot.
minute, I just got a message. Wardlow just broke up with his girlfriend.
There we go.
For the
We're doing
100th
it
time,
again.
it's fine.
How do you find a Jay Lethal train? Like, how does that even
Yeah.
work, right? Because
Lethal's the
like,
shit.
how
Yeah,
does that
he's the
how does that
best.
work? Like, how do you find these guys?
So I went to, after I was released, I think maybe in June, I went to an AW Dark taping.
Gotcha.
And I'm very good friends with Josh Woods.
Okay.
He was starting with AW
Gotcha.
then. And we were talking, and I'm like, I just want to, I don't know, I love Devon, but I feel like people get stuck with one trainer.
Right.
And they just get, and you need to have a million different trainers.
You're reinventing yourself.
Yeah, and at the time,
Yeah,
Devon was
nice.
a great connection to WWE, and I'm like, I need to see what my other options are too. So Josh Woods was like, you need to go to Jay. He's like, I'll put you in contact with him. And so we did, and I went one day, and now like me and Jay are best friends. Like, he's the best. He's a trainer that cares so much about his students, so much.
And he's still getting a push. when you
Yeah,
think about it.
he's amazing.
No, it's
He's
funny.
great.
Today's generation seems to have a much better experience with wrestling than the older guys.
Well,
did,
it
right?
was way different back then. I mean, they're not getting interfered with tons of cocaine and all the crazy shit. The steroids. I would hope the steroid thing is under control nowadays, right? Or
Yeah, I would hope so.
would you have done something different now that you're a little more experienced? Now, if you put yourself in that same situation, so hopefully you do get re-signed for the WWE or into AEW.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
I think my biggest problem, I had zero confidence. So I think now I just really wouldn't care what because I cared so much about what everyone thought of you and like what they said behind your back, and I think now I wouldn't care at all.
Yeah, you'll live longer with that attitude.
Yeah, now because they're not affecting your paycheck. So, and I had a small group of friends when I was there, and I was supposed to be in a tag team when I got there, and I think I cared so much about because I knew wrestling kind of more than the athletes that just started. So I think I cared so much about making sure she was ready and like trying to get her along that I stopped thinking like, what do I need to do? So I think I would really just care about myself when I was there and be big on that and not care if people thought negative about that.
Mandy Rose recently, right,
Mm-hmm.
got released because of her, not OnlyFans page, but I forget what page she's on. Is that something that you would look into, that type of situation? Because, again, wrestling is a great foundation, and I know you want to be a wrestler, but also, you're a very beautiful woman, attractive woman. Would that be a venue that you want to go down to?
I don't think people are bad or do anything bad for doing that, but personally, I would try not to, just because I have a super young niece right now who's just my world, and so I would love to tell her one day that I did it without doing that.
Right.
So that's really big for me, but I don't think I don't think it's negative, but that's just my personal.
That's your road.
Yeah,
That's the road you choose.
That's good stuff.
It's excellent.
We're almost out of time.
What? Already?
Already.
Boom. Jeez.
Where can people find you? Where can they see you? Where are you traveling all over the United States wrestling? Or is it mostly in Florida and
mostly
Jersey?
in Florida. I work a lot with CCW in Florida, but we go to Nashville. They just went to LA, so they go a lot of places. But my Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is all at It's Mila Moore.
Being a wrestler,
yes,
you know how these wrestling fans are,
yes,
right? How tough is it out there, either being attacked on social media or being stalked? Do you run into these situations a lot?
I've never been stalked, but it is a big fear of mine, especially when I was at the PC, because every Tuesday we'd be at the PC, and everyone would go there, and people would kind of hang out, and everyone lives very close there, so I always had a fear of, like, someone following us home, because a lot of people lived in my apartment complex, so that was always a big fear of mine, because you just never know. And actually, when I was released, I just, like, went out that whole weekend and had, like, a binger, and then I got a text, like, the Monday after from a random number, like, giving me ideas for wrestling, like, I'm sorry you got released, like, this is what you should do, though, and I was like, I'm sorry, like, I don't really remember this weekend, like, I don't know who this is.
Right.
And they're like, oh, no, like, I don't live in Florida, I live in Idaho. I was like, how did you get my number then? And they sent me the website they got my phone number on. And I looked it up, and it had, like, my address, my parents' address, my phone number.
That's
so
creepy.
so that's a big fear of mine now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, because, have you heard the problems? And again, like, how often were just regular fans hanging out at the Performance Center every day, right? Because they don't have a job, and they sit there.
And they know where it is. It's open, so.
And they just come in, and so are you constantly signing autographs? Like, how do you feel about that now, too, with wrestlers being harassed at the airport all the time, things like that, for autographs that people are selling? What are your feelings on that?
I don't, get too much into that, so I don't really find a problem with it, but I guess the bigger people do, because
well, I mean, eventually as you grow, this is going to become your problem, right?
Yeah, I have seen some wrestlers that they have 50 pictures at the airport. Like, can you sign all these? It's like, no. It's like, so I know a lot of wrestlers are very firm on I'll sign one thing per person. But yeah, I don't think it's good to go harass wrestlers. But if you're a big fan, you see them, happen to see them, sure, go up to them. But to purposely go there and have 100 pictures ready to go to sell them is kind of ridiculous.
Wow. All right. Well, we want to thank you for joining us. Incredible interview, incredible human being. I can't wait to see you in either AEW and the WA. We'll be cheering you along every week for sure. Jimmy, you got a final question?
Heel or face? You like being a good guy or bad guy?
I
mean,
fun
a good
being a
girl or a
heel.
bad girl? Wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. You like playing a hero or a villain? How's that?
I like being a heel. It's more fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's less pressure if you mess up.
Yeah.
Now, when you go to independent shows now, Are you like the big star that comes in there? Is everybody coming to you asking you for advice?
Sometimes they do, and it's like, what? Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah.
Get out of here, kid! You're bothering me. That's perfect.
Some girls do that. Like, newer girls will do that, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know.
Right.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, it is cool.
All right, Jimmy, send us on our way.
You've been watching Monty. Anything in between now and our regular show next week? Are we done?
We are done just of regular shows.
Nice. You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh, and until next Thursday, on behalf of Michael Monty, Miss Mila on the couch, this is the Pharaoh. Later.